All right, it's time to install the last piston. I got rings on it. Second ring gaps out perfect to begin with. First ring, they've all been a little tight on this motor, but we'll just see what it looks like. Yep, it's a little tight. $26,000. Ready to get that off the rod and get the new pistons on. These are stock connecting rods with ARP rod bolts. They've kind of sat around and got rusty a little bit, but we're going to clean them up before we put them on. That separated the rod enough where I can get a small little screwdriver in there and pry it open the rest of the way. Oh yeah, that should come right off. That should come right off. Yep, sure did. All right, perfect. I'm gonna clean everything up and then we'll slap some bearings in it, drop some rings on it, and we'll put it in the motor. On these rod bearings, you got a tang you got to line up. See right there and right there, that's got to be in the same spot. And if you ever get a rod that's not marked, telling you what side, you know, what number it is, because like I normally mark them. See how that one's marked 8, and then that one's marked 8, and that means that side of the rod goes together. But if you look here, that has that same tang on it, but it's actually on the opposite side of the cap from the other one. You always want to make sure your tangs are on the same side. And that keeps that one side's flat to go up against the other rod, and the other side's kind of chamfered or radiused to go up against the crankshaft. That keeps everything lined up so you don't have anything in a bind. Because if you put this on the wrong way, first of all, it'd look like that. It's probably 1/8 inch off. So you always want to take your time and mark this stuff. See how that lines up nice and smooth on both sides. That's what you're looking for. So we're going to install this bearing the same way. We're going to get it kind of square in there and get that tang pushed in. And there it be. With your rings, I always start with the oil ring first. Putting that on the piston, it just seems like it's the easiest to me. And then I move on to my second ring and then my top ring. So you're not fighting the other rings, getting everything stacked on the piston. Always try to wipe everything off, because no matter how clean you are, there's still a little dirt on there. That's probably just cosmoline or something to keep it from rusting. Okay, so installing these oil rings, what I normally do is get the big expander ring in there first, and get the bottom oil ring, and I just kind of roll it on nice and gentle like. And I don't worry about the orientation until I'm ready to put it in the motor. We're just getting these rings on here for now. Okay, so all I did was kind of roll them around until they were in place. Now it's time for the second ring. Second ring has a little dot right there. That goes up. Got these fancy, expensive ring expander pliers. They were like $7 through Summit Racing. We'll wipe that down again since we dropped it on the floor. Okay, we got the dot facing up. And you just squeeze it. And then get it in that second slot there. Same for the first. The first has got a little chamfer on it, and that little chamfer goes up. It'll just about caught me slipping. We'll wipe that ring off real quick. And you know, some people kind of get the ring hooked and roll it in. Well, that can kind of bend the ring and kind of get it in a bind. So I try not to do that, especially since this tool was only $7. It might not have been $7, but it was ridiculously cheap for what I was trying to do. And look, that just fits it on there right perfect like. Now what I'm going to do is get my rings orientated, and I'm going to soak the piston in some oil. So I put these two rings at like 2 and 5 roughly, and then I'll move the bottom ring opposite and the top ring opposite of that. And really that's just how The instructions told me to do it, so that's how we're going to do it. Right here I got my wife's good Tupperware. And I'm just going to submerge it and let it sit for just a little bit. Let that wristband get good and lubricated, and we're going to lubricate it some from the top too. That's just some Royal Purple Break-In Oil. And then Rotella 30 weight, because that's all I had. So that's all we're going to use. I'm going to do two things while that's soaking. I'm going to lubricate this bearing. And then just down both sides of the connecting rod, because all that's going to be dry when you fire it up. Just kind of work that back and forth a little bit. And we're going to lubricate it one more time before we put the oil pan on. And just for cleanliness, we're going to wipe this out. See that? All that good nastiness coming out of there. Now the problem, this is kind of an at-home junkyard build. We're trying to save some money. So it has not been to the machine shop. It's just been honed in a previous video. And it's never going to be perfectly clean, but you really do want to try to keep it as clean as possible. Which I'll show y'all how I prime a motor and kind of just take care of some things to make me sleep better at night. Now we're going to make a mess on the garage floor and oil up these cylinders. Here's the last cylinder. All right, now we'll get the ring compressor on it, drive that in and torque it down. All right, grab a hammer and we'll start driving that down. Misspoke a rubber mallet, because that's what I've been using this whole time. And if you don't give it a little oomph, the oil rings will kind of slip by this and get hung up. So you gotta kind of go pretty hard for a second there, and then once it starts going, you're probably gonna be okay. I'm gonna reach in from underneath and get that connecting rod lined up with the crankshaft so we don't scar nothing up. All right, that one's all the way in. We can put the rod cap on it. Move on to oil pump and all that good stuff. Assembly lube on the burn and on the sides of the connecting rod. We're going to line these things up tang to tang. We're going to put our nuts on and torque it down. Torque these down to 45 foot-pounds. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go back and put it on all the connecting rod bolts. Just because I didn't have any at the time, but we're going to put it together, do it right, and then kind of roll on from there. All right, so the next thing we're gonna have to do is install the front timing cover and the harmonic balancer so we can get top dead center marked on the balancer just to be sure it's 100% where it's supposed to be. And then we can start kind of finishing up the oiling system and installing the oil pan. So working back on the Turbo 400, I cut me a little V-notch down here at the bottom of the front main seal to let the oil drain away from the seal, because I added that oil galley plug with a small hole to deliver more oil to the timing chain. So it's Saturday afternoon. It's been a few weeks since I worked on the 400. We're putting the turbo on, so we're gonna get back on it. First thing I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna clean this up and install the oil filter adapter. I ended up buying a new one because it doesn't have that relief valve in it. I was originally going to drill and tap this one for a pipe plug, but I kind of run out of time and energy and everything. So I just bought this for $35 from Summit Racing, and it just bolts down just like that. So let's get this thing cleaned up and installed. I swear that thing looked pretty clean, but it won't. All it has is an O-ring that goes in that groove, and 2 Allen screws that hold it on. I'll put some light assembly lube on that. And then according to the instructions, you want that chamfer on the same side as that, so it doesn't restrict your oil flow. Because it looks like, if you spin that thing around, yeah, you wouldn't want that starving your engine. Now we're going to turn our attention to this oil pump pickup. It will not work with the oil pan I plan on running. I was trying to get it mocked up the other week, but here we are. So with the heavy duty high volume oil pump, they also recommend running this heavy duty drive, oil pump drive. And it has to go on the oil pump first before we can bolt the oil pump down. So it has to go like that. All right, that's snug down. Now we can put the oil pump pickup on. That's why nothing fits in. It's metric, which makes no sense, but. And then to install this, I'm going to use, it's a special tool. It's a Moroso brand tool. It's, the part number is 2x4x4. I'm just going to gently drive that in. Hopefully. I broke my other tripod, so I'm kind of slumming it for a day or two till they get me another one. All right, now for the moment of truth. Oh yeah, that's what we've been looking for this whole time, is get the oil pan on this thing. One step closer to racing. So, I measured from the face of the block to the bottom of the oil pump pickup, and we're at 7 15/16. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing to the oil pan. I don't know if y'all can see, but that's 8 1/16 inches. Y'all ain't gonna be able to see that number. But that gives me 1/8 of an inch from the bottom of the pickup to the bottom of the oil pan. Then you figure in a little bit for your gasket, and we should have about where we need to be, roughly 1/4 inch, or a little less, 3/16 to 1/4 inch of clearance. So I feel pretty good about that. So now we can move on to timing chain, finishing all that up. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to end the video right here. My harmonic balancer's cracked. Cheap aftermarket junk. Thing probably don't have 3,000 miles on it. So I've run out of pieces, so hopefully I can come up with, I need oil pan bolts and I need, what else? A harmonic balancer. My neighbor across the street has found me one. He's gonna go pick it up Monday. So I think I'm gonna sign off on this video and call it good. And then y'all be sure to check back in. We'll get this bottom end finished up and we'll start putting the heads on next time we work on it. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.